Hello, everybody. It's Mary with Stamps-N-Lingers, and it's just a little bit before 7. I thought I would take a moment and use a minute of my time instead of your time to make sure that I am actually up and oriented correctly and actually transmitilating. So let's just double check that that is a true statement and that I have everything turned off. I see my arm moving, so that is a very good sign. YouTube is actually going live more quickly than it usually does, so that's good. Hey, Rosie, hope you're feeling better, kid, and that that hand is not giving you too much trouble. Hey, Marva, appreciate you coming. All right, so our card for today, hi, Jenny. Ginger, sorry. I'll get that right. You know, it's only been, what, 10 years? I'll get it right one of these days. Hi, Myra. I appreciate you guys coming. I hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Karen, hello. All right, so this is a fun fold card. It's called a side panel tower card. And if you look at it from the top, you can see this is the tower and this is the side panel, and they both pop up, but it does lay down flat in order to go into a regular medium envelope. Now, I will tell you, with all of the stuff that I've put on, it's got a little bit of extra oomph, so you're probably going to need a little bit more postage, which, by the way, I've been told postage is going up on the 1st of July, somewhere around the first part of July, so I just ordered a whole bunch of more forever stamps, because 73 cents a stamp is better than whatever they're going to go up to. I think I heard 75, 76, something like that. If anybody knows, post it so that we'll all know. So anyway, this is a sneak peek of a new stamp set coming available on the 1st of July, a good thing coming on the 1st of July as opposed to a bad thing. It's called Rustic Centerpiece. It's all images. You've got kind of a all year kind of an image with succulents, and then a fallish, depending on how you colored it, a fall, or even you could make it a spring image, and then one that is obviously for winter / Christmas. All of them are on wooden, like, vases, or you would call that a charger, I would think, or a trivet, something like that. So it's really kind of cute. It is a cling set, so it's perfect for stamping and then cutting out with a die cut, or doing like I did and going crazy and fussy cutting it. So yes, you are going to watch me fussy cut this today. Sorry. And this is going to be an online exclusive in case you didn't realize it. And then I've also used the Coneflower Celebrations, which is also in the annual catalog right now. You can get it right this minute. I did not need the dies that go with it, but it does have a nice set of dies. Also got stylish shapes and the now online exclusive mini corrugated 3D embossing folder, one of my favorites. I realized I'm now using this a lot this week, so sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This will all be on my blog tomorrow, but I will tell you that explaining how to put this together in words is not nearly as easy as just showing you. So bookmark this video, and if you need to come back, you can come back and you can start and stop to help you make it. And I think once you get it made once, you're going to realize how easy it is. Okay, so the basic card, the large card, good Lord, get that off of there. Okay. Actually, both pieces are Mossy Meadow for the card base. So the larger piece is 5.5 by 8 1/4. Don't forget to cut that extra quarter off. It's going to kind of mess up your dimensions. Let me get rid of that. And on the long side, you are going to use, you can use your scoreboard or you can use your trimmer like I'm doing here. Just be sure you use the score blade, the light one. Ask me what happens if you use the dark one. Yes, things get shorter really quick. All right, so along this long edge, you're going to score at 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, and 4 inches. Okay, and these 4 score lines are going to create the folds of the card that become the tower. And then you're going to have a 4 1/4, if I've done that right. Let me get my ruler just to be sure I have done that right. 4 1/4 left, so that your card ends up being 4 1/4 by 5.5. Okay, so then we also have a piece that is 4 1/2 inches by 4 inches, and that is going to be the side panel. And you're going to score it twice, once at 1/2 inch, and this is on the long side, and again at 1 1/2 inches. Okay. And then we'll set the trimmer aside because we aren't going to need it for a minute. Okie doke. So, to make our tower, we're going to go ahead and get a good burnish on all of our scores, and you're just going to fold these all the same direction. Let's call it in, okay? And do take a minute just to be sure everything is straight. July 13th, 73 to 78 cents. Yeah, it is absolutely worth 1,000% going and buying a couple of sheets or 10 sheets of the Forever stamps at 73 cents. I mean, my goodness, that's 5 cents every couple of 3 months. That's just insane. Okay, so what's going to happen is this is going to curve around and adhere right there to make the tower. Okay, now you can do one of two things. You can use your brain power, and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. These 3 panels are going to be decorated, and it is truthfully easier to do that with the card flat like this. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. We're going to take tear and tape adhesive, and this is the panel that is doing the work. So we're going to put tear and tape adhesive right here and right here. You can also use liquid glue here if you like. I'll use liquid glue on the other panel, but this one I kind of like the tear and tape for. Okay, so you're going to put your tear and tape there, and then I'm going to make sure that I did that right. Yes, I did that right. Okay, and then you can see which sides need to have the DSP, and we're going to put 3 pieces of Timeless Plaid there, and I'm going to use my liquid glue. My birthday is tomorrow. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't know how I got to be 29. I really don't. I feel not a day older than 25. All right, so we're going to just center these. I've made them with a pretty narrow reveal, so you just kind of want to get them on straightish. You know, it's a handmade card. If it's not exactly right, it's, you know, it's quirky. It's eccentric. Yeah, that's it. And no, I did not do any kind of making sure that the plaid continued from one to, no, I didn't even do that. Not even sort of. The cool thing about Timeless Plaid is there's so many colors. You could do this card about 100 times and never use the same color combination again. I mean, perfect. Okay, one more. Okie dokie dokie. The cool thing about this card is the easiest part is actually the fun fold. Okay, now what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to fold the card like this. So you're folding it at this line right here, which is actually the 2-inch fold. If you just fold it like that, and then you're going to take the tear and tape off and lay the card down, and when you pick it up, it will be adhered to the panel. Okay, that's the easiest way to do this. So you're going to fold it at the 2-inch, and then pick up your covers. And I'll try to be good. They aren't going to stay in there, but I'm trying. Pick up the covers. Oh, I got too much of that one. Come on now. I just made Tuesday's card. It's another fun fold, and I realized I'm in a very similar color palette, and I used that mini corrugated folder again. So there you go. Hey, Lenny. Hi, Rocky. Appreciate you guys coming. Okay, so I have my tear and tape exposed. I've folded at the 2-inch line, okay? And I'm just going to fold that down, give it a good rubby rub, and there we have our tower already done. Done and done. Then I have another piece of the Timeless Plaid. I went with the same color palette, but just a different plaid. Yet another of the bonusly wonderful reasons to love this paper, which is in the annual catalog again. So that is awesome. That means we got it for a solid year. Thanks, Lenny. I'm glad you like the colors. I do too. All right. And then we'll just put this right here on this panel like so. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and let that set for a second. I'm going to make a couple of little elements for you. First off, we're going to take a piece of basic beige and we're going to emboss it in the mini 3D embossing folder, mini corrugated 3D embossing folder. When I put it in, this is larger than I need, okay, because I'm going to cut it down to size when I get done. What I'm going to do is when I put it in my folder, I'm going to put it in on a diagonal, and then I'm going to cut it regular, so it's going to have a diagonal to it. Can you see that? You don't have to do that. I just think it adds a little fun. So I'll be right back. Let me get this embossed, and then we'll cut it down. Okay. Now remember, with your 3D embossing folders, you're going to use your basic plate, number 1. You're going to put your embossing folder with your cardstock right on the plate, and then you're going to use the number 4 gray specialty plate, okay? That is going to be your sandwich, and it's going to work perfect every time with your 3D embossing folders. So if you don't have the number 4 specialty plate, you probably want to get it. Thank you, y'all. Thanks, Janice. I thought it was kind of a fun little twist. Now, y'all, I'm going to turn my fan on. If it makes too much noise, let me know. But, you know, having a little power surge. What can I say? Okay, now I'm going to do just a quick measurement to be sure I wrote this down correctly. 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. Does that make sense? Yes, okay. All right, so we're going to just cut at 2 7/8. Now, why did I do this? Because sometimes when you emboss, especially in a 3D embossing folder, it's going to kind of get things kind of out of whack. So I am going to help it straighten itself out so that I have as straight a panel as I can get by 3 7/8. Okay. Alrighty. And then I'm going to, we'll fold this. This is our side panel. Okay, so this is going to go on the front of our card like so, and I'll show you how to get that lined up. But before we do that, let me go ahead and adhere this. I think it'll be a lot easier. Oh, Faith, you abso-freaking-lutely need this one. Oh, yes. It is one of my very favorite of all time embossing folders, and I really hope it lasts a long, long time. I really, really do. Are you listening, Stampin' Up? Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Okay, now, you could put this on right now, but I'm not going to, because it'll be a little easier to decorate this with it off of the card, okay? And the other thing I'm going to do before we assemble the card is we're going to do the back panel and put it on, all right? So I am doing that on another piece of basic beige, and I am going to stamp one of the Coneflower Celebrations sentiments in Calypso Coral ink. Okay. And then in pecan pie, or pecan pie as we prefer to say it here in the South, pecan is what you get canned peas in, which is disgusting. So it's a pecan pie. I'm going to stamp this big coneflower in pecan pie ink. And what I'm going to do in a fit of amazing efficiency, because it's going to take me a minute to do the fussy cutting and the coloring, so I would like to get us a little bit ahead of schedule here. We're going to also stamp this on the front of our envelope, and then I'm going to put this pecan pie away for a minute. Using my watercolors, I do not need the Old Olive. I do need the pecan pie, that's early espresso, pecan pie, and Daffodil Delight and pumpkin pie. Now to do this card, you're going to need the watercolor the basic watercolors 1 and the watercolors 2 set, okay? Because yes, I would have tried to make them all from one of the collections, but I couldn't. So there you go. All right, so I'm just coloring the center of the flower with the pecan pie watercolor pencil. When you're using watercolor pencils on the front of an envelope, especially on the edges, I have found it helps if you stick a window sheet. You can use a piece of window sheet that you buy, a pack of window sheet, or save the thick window sheets from your photopolymer stamp sets when you mount them on the stamp case, and you can just use that instead. All right. The reason is when you color over the seam, this seam right here, you can get kind of like a little line, which it just depends on your level of, okay, that isn't perfect. I don't know what that would be. I don't want to say OCD because it really isn't OCD. It's just, you have this thing about it being perfect, right? Okay. So then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight and I'm going to color the petals. Just doing this now so that we don't have it to do when we get done with the, and I'm using the word hard. See, it's even doing it here because I'm rubbing too hard. I'm pressing too hard. Too hard, Mary, too hard. Okay. And then take your pumpkin pie and just kind of go along to add just a little bit of color where those marks are, that the shading marks that Stampin' Up! Gave you. Okay, so there's our front of our envelope, and we'll do the same here on this. It'll look just a little different because it's on basic beige, but it's still pretty. I like it. It gets a little more vintageized. That's a word. Did you know that that's a word? I don't actually think that's a word. It could be a word, but it's not. I'll tell you what, we're headed into our hot days here. I think the whole universe is under a heat dome right now, so I hope you guys are staying cool, and don't forget your pets. They're outside unable to sweat. Your dogs can't sweat, so help them out. Bring them in. It's a merry word. All right, now we're just going to put this on the back of the card. I'm going to put my liquid glue on, and then I'm going to make one last check to be sure I'm right side up. Right side up, right side up, right side up. Okay. Oop. And then I almost didn't put it on right side up, even with all of that. And I smeared liquid glue everywhere. Okay, I'll fix it. This is why rubber gum erasers were made. Okay, so we're gonna let that dry. And now is the time. We are going to do our Rustic Centerpiece. Did they change the colors in the, yes, the water, one or the other of them changed up. So I think it's actually the basic watercolor pencils number. They put pecan pie in there. So yeah, if you don't have pecan pie, you would want to get that. Okay, so I am going to stamp this image on a piece of basic beige. And while I'm sitting there, why don't I stamp my Sentimente from Coneflower Celebrations in Calypso Coral. Okay, and I will, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut this off the top. And I'm going to go right quick like a bunny and cut this out, and then we'll be done with me leaving and we can get to the fussy cutting, because we're going to fussy cut before we color, and I'll tell you why. I will tell you why in just a minute. Oh, now I have tell me why in my head. That's fine. Great. It's bad when you give yourself an earworm, right? Alrighty. Okay. So now we have our sentiment, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this sentiment right in my dimensionals thing so that I don't lose it like I did the sentiment or something the other day. Okay. Now, let me tell you a little secret, little trick. This is basic beige. This is basic beige. That makes your fussy cutting requirement, your precision can be a little bit relaxed, okay? If you look at this, you will see I have not cut out in there at all because that's crazy. If you have a scan and cut or something like that, knock yourself out. But I don't, so it's just me and my skizzers. So by leaving the background that you place your die cut on or your fussy cut image on, the same as the cardstock you use to make your image, you can help that blend in and give yourself a little break in the fussy cutting realm. Okay, make sense? Okay, okay. So I'm gonna just settle back. I'm going to remember my basics. I'm going to put the cardstock in the fulcrum of the scissors, and I am going to move the paper with my left hand that's holding the cardstock and not so much the scissors. Okay. And you can see that's fixing to happen here. I'm going to use my left hand to turn the corner just like that. And I am doing what I call a die cut fussy cut. So I'm leaving an edge around, I'm like leaving a little border, right, around the image. Now, if you guys are saying anything, can you please, oh, sorry, thank you. Okay, I will do that. If you guys are noticing, if you're saying anything other than that I happen to look up, it's a good thing. I can't really see you because I'm fussy cutting here, people. Okay, now I'm going to make a big hard turn like that. And I'm going to go ahead, I don't usually do that, but I'm going to cut it off just because it was in my way, okay? Now, I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to go part way in because I can. It's not too hard. And then I'm going to come around these berries. See how my left hand is truly doing all the work. Okay, and we're going to turn the corner back. And I'm not doing like the world's best job, but I'm going to count on my blending. Why did I not color first? Because if I work this completely, I can just toss it out and start over. And I would be really bummed if I had already taken the time to do all the coloring. So whichever one is the one that you, whichever step is the one you're the most concerned about, let me get that gone because it's in my way, that you're most concerned about, do it first. That way if you have a little bit of a fox pass, you can start over and not feel bad. Coloring with watercolor pencils is not my favoriteest thing. I do like how it looks. I just prefer another medium. Okay, so when I get up here, I'm not even going to try to go very far in there between those that berry and the leaf. I'm just going to make a little indent like that and then come right back out. Okay, and then I'm going to follow the leaf around. Can we still see okay? Yeah. Do I need to zoom in? Would zooming in go in a little better? Or should I? Let me see if this will help any. Let's see if that'll help. Make it a little easier to see. So I see somebody has said it always looks so much easier. It probably is easier for right-handed folks. And I really wish I could help with that, but I cannot. If I was trying to cut with my left hand, we would have so many more issues than just left-handed things. So I would have to say that the trick is, if you are left-handed, you need to do, even like right-handed people do, just practice it. Do it a lot. Most of us tend to avoid doing the things we don't like, and I totally get that. Totally get that. Every morning I look at the treadmill, and most days I'm able to make myself get on it, but some days I just say, nope. Okay, now these are pretty straightforward cuts here, so I'm going to go ahead and go on in to that space like that, turn the corner. But this is why I always emphasize when you're cutting your envelope flaps to practice good fussy cutting techniques and procedures like this. That's TTPs for you people following along. Practice your TTPs, and then when you need to use them, you'll remember. A lot of fussy cutting is muscle memory. My left hand is hardly, I was going to say my left hand isn't even thinking about it, but hands don't think. My brain is not actively thinking about it. It's just looking at that image on the paper and directing my left hand. And part of the reason it looks pretty easy, first of all, it's just not that hard. And second, I've practiced a lot. I do a lot of fussy cutting because I like it. And I like the options it gives you. Okay, so we're gonna go along here and get down in here like so, and then just turn the corner. We're almost done, stick with me. You can do it. Okay, we'll go ahead and go off there just to get that cardstock out of our way. And come back in. Okay. Yeah, Sue, that's a really good, actually that's a pretty good thing. That's what I do when I'm in a spot where I have to do what I suspect is as close to left-handed cutting as a right-handed person gets, when you're having to come in from this direction because you just can't get in from the other way, and so you're cutting with the paper on the far side of your snips. So yeah, that's exactly what I would do there. I would just cut off the bulk of it and then just slowly take my time and go back and get the rest of it off. And the other thing is give yourself a little grace. If it isn't perfect, that's okay. There's not a perfect fussy cut on the planet, I promise, that isn't done with a scan and cut. Okay? And it takes practice. There we go. Okay. So let me get this refuse out of the way. Make y'all think I'm tidy. Do you believe me? No, of course you don't. Of course you don't, because you know me. Okay. Now it's gotten a little bit curled up, so I'll just go ahead and straighten it out a little bit. And so now let's color. Let's color. I am going to color all of my leaves with my Old Olive. I'm going to give myself a little bit sharper tip there. Okay. And I'm not going to really do a lot of hard coloring because I will color the whole leaf and then go back and add a little depth to the shade marks that are on there. It's really nice that Stampin' Up! Puts those shading marks on so we don't have to think about it, right? Actually, you can just turn your watercolor pencil to get the sharper edge, and you'll be able to darken that up real easy. Real easy. You now noticed one of my tools is a 98-cent pencil sharpener, probably from Publix, maybe Wally World. Okay. So those are colored and shaded. We'll go along here, color these leaves, color this leaf, add a little shading. I do like the softness that the watercolor pencil gives, don't you? It just adds a little bit more vintagey flavor. You know what I mean? All right. So here's some more leafies. One of the harder parts is just making sure you're coloring the right things the right color. Like I would feel bad if I colored a berry old olive. I mean, I'd probably get over it, and then I'd grab my pencil eraser and erase it. All right, too. See, the nice thing about this is the hard part, the fussy cutting, is behind me. So I can just sit here and relax and color my pretty picture. And I know I don't have the fussy cut hanging over me like a dentist appointment. You know what I mean? I know that there's some of you who think of fussy cutting the same way you think of going to the dentist. Or other doctors that we don't like to go to. Those of us over 55, if you know, you know. That's my least favorite doctor. Fortunately, at 29, I don't know anything about that. I've just heard. I've seen stories. I've heard tales from all my old friends. Okay, here, I think this is the last leaf. Get a little bit of shading in there. Y'all see any leaves? Have I forgotten any leaves? Okay, if I have, I'll come back. Okay, now I'm going to color my berries in Calypso Coral. The good news is we are getting pretty close to Dunsky, which is good since we're already at 30 minutes. Okay, then for my flowers, I'm going to color them to start with the Daffodil Delight. Every time I say that tonight, my head is singing that song, Afternoon Delight. I mean, I don't think I realized when I first heard that song what they were talking about. I mean, now I do. So, you know. Okay, here we go. Pretty sunflowers. These are just summer, 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 aren't they? Okay. Then I'm going to take that pumpkin pie again. Nope, that's Calypso Coral. Where'd you go, pumpkin pie? Here we are. And give it a little bit of color at the centers. Where am I shading? Where Stampin' Up told me to, by putting those shading lines there. Okay. And then pecan pie centas. 30 with 35 years experience. There you go. God, that's a good point. Tomorrow I'll be 30. Jeez, and I was feeling so young. My goodness, that's a very good point. I'm only 29 for a couple more hours. Gee, mini. Okay. Now, I'm going to use the basic gray to color this can. And we're going to just color him all over. And, you know, you can leave some strokes, some pencil strokes, because it's metal and it's not perfectly smooth. I think it's galvanized metal. Okay, and then go back and add some shading along the edges. Like that. Okay. Real red for our apples. I guess you could use Granny Apple Green if you wanted greenish apples. Except I don't think I have a Granny Apple Green watercolor pencil, do I? If I do, if I did, I would use that. I just don't think, I would love this with Stampin' Blends. I just don't think I would. Okay, then I'm going to go back and add a little bit harder lines. Like that. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm finding the kind of tippy tips of the pencils and using those to lay down a lot more color a lot quicker. There we go. Now, to do the board, so I do not, you can use watercolors. I did, or water with these, but I did not for this card. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this board is I'm going to color the top of the board in Pecan Pie, like so. And because my, I'm not going to do a whole lot of extra shading on that, because that should be like a cut piece of wood, right? And so it's going to be a lot lighter. So for this part, the bark piece, I'm going to color with the edge so that I lay down a lot more color. Like that. And then I'm going to take my early espresso pencil and I'm going to go along it like this. To make that bark. Oop. Got a little carried away there. All right, so there you go. There is our pretty image. And we are going to adhere that. 30 is the new 20, absolutely. I'm going to adhere this to this panel, and you can do a little bit of dry fitting just to be sure you're not going to be impinging on your fold. You don't want this to go where the fold is, I don't think. So I wouldn't do a whole lot of excessiveness. So I'm going to put it about there with that berry just barely on the edge, okay? And I'm going to do that with Dimensionales. Because, of course, hello. Okay. And then we're going to put on a linen bow, a couple of embellishments, put the card together, and we'll be done-ski. Okay. Oopsie. Oopsie. Okay. Here we go. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to take some linen thread and I'm going to use a double length of it. I did actually look at a double loop linen thread bow here, but it was just too much. Too much. Too much for the sentiment to go over, and just too much. So I did not. I just did regular, which is fine. There are times when Farrah is not appropriate. And this is one of them, in my opinion. If you think you would like a double loop linen thread bow, you can do that. Now what I'm doing is I'm using a little liquid glue down on the card front, and I'm going to stick that down on there and give it just a second to think about what it's done and get adhered. Think about what you've done and get adhered. Okay. All right. Now we can use a couple of dimensionals. So see, I put my sentiment in that little bowl, and so I could find it, even though it had been like 10 minutes since I made it. Ow, I just stuck myself with my tweezers. We're going to stick that right there. So I'm just going to put, I think I was able to do it with just a single dimensional, wasn't I? Was I or was I not? Nope, I did doubles. Okay, that's fine. Need more dimensionals. Come here now. Alrighty. So, ooh, I'm actually bleeding from where I stuck myself with my tweezer. I'm going to put two dimensionals right there next to each other. Do a quick check that I'm not too big. Not too big at all. And then to make a double stack, it's exactly what it sounds like. Put another one on the top. So you have two, not one. That is the definition of double. All right. Okay. Let's get this straight. Put that on straight. And then I need my embellishments, which are somewhere around here. Oh, I put my neutral dots away. What a doofus. What a silly girl I am. What a silly girl I am. But I have now forgotten where they are. Huh. Wait a minute. I can't find them. I can't find them. Oh. I don't know where I put them. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I've lost them. They're gone. They're gone. N is for neutrals. L, O, nope. They must be around. They're around here somewhere, guys. I'll find them in just a second. In just a second. Maybe they're over here. Oh, there they are. I bet that's them. There they are. Okay. So I'm going to use 3 neutral dots. And I'm going to put these, actually I might only use 2. I'm going to put one right there and one right there. And then I'm going to use little bitty bits of liquid glue. I'm going to put one right here and one right here and one right here to put my little bitty bees. They're actually tiny, not itty bitty. I'd have named them itty bitty, and then I'd be singing, "It's all right to be itty bitty, a little old bee in a big old city." There we go. Another little bee. And if you'd like, if you prefer, you could use scrunched up glue dots. All right. So those are going to dry for just a hot second. Thank you, guys. Yes, it is. It is one from Country Hive. I love them. I also have, look, I also have this from them. This is the cutest ever. And I also have a Christmas tree. Aren't they cute? It's very difficult for me to not buy all of these because I love them. They just put another one out that I want really bad. I can't think what it is. It's not a butterfly. I think it's a bee, and I may be gonna just have to have it. I absolutely do not need another glue holder, but I really, really want it. Okay, so now let me show you how we're going to put this card together. It's the last piece of the puzzle. Okay, you're going to fold the whole thing at this fold, okay? And it is going to line up with the edge against the edge of the card back. All right, and centered top to bottom. We're going to put that on with liquid glue. Mostly because you can squish it, you can move it around a little bit. Okay, and we're not gonna get too jiggy with the liquid glue, Mary. Don't be silly, okay? Oh, but we should really, really put it on right side up. Make sure that's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So just hold it with the side parallel to you, and then you can just set the panel in place. Make sure it's lined right up. Make sure it is centered as top and bottom as you can get. And then let that have a second to set. Don't do that. Remember that second to set? You need to give it a second to set. Thanks, Holly. I appreciate that. Okay. So now you can see what it's done is it is adhered here, but not there. Okay. See how that is? Okay. Now, to adhere it to the front, fold your tower down and then just fold this flat. Okay. That way, you know it's all going to fold flat so it can go in the envelope. Oh, it is a beehive? Oh, yeah. I'm just going to have that one, I'm sure. Okay. So what you're going to do is just keep everything closed. And you're going to put some liquid glue right along this edge. You could do that, or you could do like I'm going to do. Actually, I'm going to use the liquid glue. I might have used tear and tape on the other one, but I'm going to use liquid glue here. Okay. Okay, so just close the tower down and close this in place and just let it adhere for a momento. Un momento, por favor. While you're doing that with those fingers, your thumbs can play with your bow. Okay. Okay, now before I do anything with it, I'm going to set it aside, get my envelope out, and put our DSP on, and we're going to be done. And I am so sorry it took so long, but I think the fussy cutting is worth it. I really do. I did consider trying to put it on with another die cut. You could probably figure that out, but I just didn't. And I think it turned out great. I think it was worth the effort to fussy cut. All right. Now this one is just a piece of cake after you did the other, right? But don't get sloppy. Use your good paper cutting technique. Turn the envelope, not the scissors. All right, there we go. And there you have a side panel tower card with room to leave a note on the back, and it folds flat to go in your envelope. You gotta love it. This is officially one of my favorite fun folds. I love it. Alrighty, thank you guys for your patience tonight. I hope you'll come back on Thursday. I do not know what we're gonna make, but I hope you will enjoy it. And enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all. Stay cool. See ya. Ta.